Because in the beginning, you're not, like they say in the beginning, you're not the CEO, you're just the employee until you start hiring and still until you start building your team and doing all
Right.
that, then you start to be the owner.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be inspired as we dive deep into the world of commercial financing with a true powerhouse in the industry. Welcome to Unleash Your Power, a podcast that empowers others to get what they want and achieve their wildest dreams. I am your host, Jeffrey Pinzon, and today we have the great pleasure of interviewing a truly remarkable woman who is making waves in the financial world, in the commercial financial world. She is the founder and CEO of CRE Capital Investments, a reputable company, a trusted company. So get ready, guys, as we dive deep into her story. So, Rachel Garcia, thank you for being on our podcast today. Get ready, guys, because she has a lot of things that she's going to be sharing with us today. So, Rachel, let's let's jump right into it. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing? Who was Rachel back in high school?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Absolutely. I'm happy to share. And gosh, we dove right in, right? So, my childhood and my upbringing. Where do I start? So, growing up, I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So, when I first graduated high school, I started working for a bridal store, and then I started managing bridal stores. And one of them was actually going out of business. So when they went out of business, I took that as an opportunity to start my own business. I've always been into fashion. I love fashion. I love to dress well. I feel like the way that you dress presents you and tells you a
Absolutely.
lot about the person. So I opened up I opened up my own women's clothing boutique at 20
Nice.
years old. I
What
saved
city?
up in Downey, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, by the Stonewood Mall.
Oh, wow.
So I opened up my women's clothing boutique, and so when that one of the bridal stores went out of business, I bought everything from them, from the showcases, the mannequins, the racks, all of it. So then I found a location Downey near the Stonewood Mall. It was called Besso XOXO.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's where. So for my personal Instagram, Rachel underscore Besso, that's where the Besso comes from. And it's funny because everybody thinks that that's my last name, but I don't want to change it because it's very sentimental to me.
Right.
So anyway, so that's where it came from. I started my business. I had it for a year, and then I got bought out. These two women would they were clients of mine. They would come in all the time, and they were like, "Have you ever considered selling your business?" And I'm like, "Well, no, not really. Mind you, I'm 20 years old." So I said, "No, not really, but I mean, if you put an offer, sure, why not?" And that's when I felt like, wow, entrepreneurship is something different.
Right.
People see it as, an amazing thing, right? Who doesn't want to own their own business? But they don't know what comes with owning a business. There's a lot of trial and error.
Right.
There's a lot of, I mean, I felt like I was a slave.
Mm-hmm.
I was there Monday through Sunday
Yeah.
from open to close. Like it was a lot for me,
Right.
especially at 20 years old. And so I decided to sell it. So I got bought out. So at 21, I sold it. I traveled for a year. For an entire year, I traveled. I took some time off, and I thought to myself, what do I want to do next? And I felt that when I was starting my business, I didn't know who to lean on. I didn't know how to start the business right. I didn't know the importance of opening up a checking account, having payroll, having like all these things that you need to run a business.
Right.
So that's when I decided, you know what? I'm going to be a business banker and help these business owners establish their own business, because for myself, if I was struggling, I could only imagine the Hispanics that don't know, they're just hard workers, but
Yeah.
they don't know anything else other than just work hard, and that's it. They don't know the tools and the resources that they have available to them. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to go work for a bank, and I'm going to go help out businesses. So I started in the bank as a business. I think it was specialist or banker at the time. I don't remember, but it was like to help business owners. And so from there, I just moved up the ladder. I was with Bank of America corporate for 5.5 years. I was with Wells Fargo. I was with JP Morgan.
Wow.
I mean, I really moved up the corporate ladder. So it's been 11 years that I've been in commercial financing now. So from business banking, I went to commercial financing, and that became my passion, commercial real estate.
Wow. So let's take it back, because I know you mentioned the clothing store, right? And it's funny because I had partnered up with there was a clothing store called The Arte in Downey. And we had partnered up with the Gentleman's Clothes. So I could relate to what you're saying right now, because buying inventory, especially in the clothing, you got to be selling that clothes right away, because fashion is changing.
Correct. And the turnaround time.
Right?
And mind you, I had clients that were coming in weekly. And so if you don't have new inventory every week, they're going to go to the mall. Yeah. And I pride myself in having a boutique where I don't have the same stuff that the mall has, where you see your stuff at Forever 21, Zara, H&M, which Zara is my favorite store, but still, I wanted unique pieces at my store where they can come in and shop every week. So every week I had to stock up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have to sell what you have to be able to get more inventory to come in. So it could be stressful for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And then you got to sell the extra stuff for wholesale, so you can get it out the way, so you don't get stuck with it. So from right there, transitioning into the corporate world, like, what are some stuff that you learned that led you to now, once you open up your own business, your own mortgage company, what are some stuff that you took from that corporate world that allowed you to build your business?
I took a lot, actually. That's a great question. So through my entire 11 years of being in the corporate world, I would deal with so many different businesses. And for me, what's important is getting to know the owner, getting to know the business. That way I'm able to help them best, right? Knowing their story, knowing what they need. I'm not going to give them, a line of credit if I know they don't need it. So my whole thing was learning about them, learning about the business, how they got started, and all of that. So that led me to where I am today with my company, because I wanted to, one, be able to provide tools and resources for everybody. And most big banks, they only look for your A-paper clients, right? They want you to have, the best credit, the best cash flow, the best everything. So I wanted, the way that I created my company is to have the tools and resources and get creative with the financing. Be able to provide financing for new investors, for your seasoned investors, and provide the best terms and rates for everybody, depending on your scenario. So that's what I pride the company in, is being able to be that tool for everybody, not just your, A paper clients, which is what most top banks do, right? If you don't fit that little square box, if they don't like your property, it's just not going to happen.
Wow. Can you share some stories of maybe people that you have helped out, some successful stories of maybe they weren't helped out in the corporate world, but they went with you and you were able to?
That's my every client.
Well, share some with us.
That's honestly my every client. I have clients that, that the bank didn't want to refi for one reason or another. I have one that I'm working with. He has a bunch of tax liens and he wants to do a cash out refi to be able to pay off those tax liens. The tax liens, and nobody wanted to help him. I was able to get him the best terms and rates, and it's a $4 million deal.
Wow.
Like, how do banks, like most lenders will pass on that, at least the big banks, right? So I wanted to make sure that my platform is pretty wide where I can do, I can get creative.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned last time I was having a conversation with you and I asked you what's better, buying a single residence or a commercial building. You had mentioned a commercial building.
A commercial building
Why is
all
that?
day long.
Break it down for us. So give me an example, right? Like let's just say me, like I don't own a building yet. I'm a business owner. What are the steps that you will take me through to
So it depends. Are you buying a building for yourself to run your business out
owner
of it, right?
occupied and
Or are you buying an investment property like a multifamily, right? So let me just start with the multifamily side, right? An SFR versus multifamily. Multifamily, I don't know if it's just because of me, but I just love commercial, right? And it's all a numbers game. It's all based on the assets. We look at the rent rolls and we look at the operating expenses, and that's when we decide what we're able to lend on that property. If the property is not stabilized, we can do a bridge loan on it, pay for 100% of the rehab, stabilize it, you refinance it, and I'm helping you, with the entire process from A to Z. If you want to build a multifamily property, I can do the construction for you. It just really depends on the investor and what they're looking for. SFR, I don't really know that side. I don't really touch that side, but
what's that?
it's more
What's S?
emotional for me, or so I feel and so I hear. It's more emotional. There's more attachments, right? When you're dealing with the single family, it's like there's a lot of emotions and attachments. Commercial, it either makes sense, the numbers make sense, or they don't. That's it. It's black or white.
It's business more instead
It's
of an
very
emotional.
exactly,
Got it.
exactly. And then to answer your question about the business, and owning your own business, or owning your own commercial property. So you just need to be in business for 2 years, and you just need 10% down
Okay.
in order to purchase a commercial property.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. So
It is.
And how long is that process look like?
I mean, typically it can be 45 to 60 days, depending, right?
Kind of like a house then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It does take a little bit longer to finance than an SFR deal, but it's worth it,
Got it.
in my opinion.
What are some challenges, Rachel, that you have experienced in your career right now? And lessons
Gosh.
that you've learned that have made you grow your
Yeah,
business?
I think the biggest thing for me is going to be in the commercial world. It's very male dominated. So sometimes they see me and they're like, "Oh, what does this Latina know?" So it's kind of, even climbing up the corporate ladder, right? I mean, I was with JP Morgan in their commercial, in their commercial division, and sometimes, and they were all amazing, of course, and I don't mean just in that with them, but just in general, just climbing up the corporate ladder. It's kind of like, what does she know about commercial financing? Like, what does she know about commercial real estate? A Latina that,
Right.
you know,
Did you use that as a motivating
Oh,
mechanism
absolutely. I
to
mean, it
show
was
them?
just, yeah, absolutely. To me, it was just like that motivated me even more. Like, okay. And then after I left those three top banks, I was actually with a big brokerage for a short period of time, and that's where I experienced that, where it's like, I didn't really get the tools and the resources, and I still killed it. I still, within the first 4 or 5 months that I was there, I was already closing, my deals. And I was like, you know what? That's when I saw the writing all over the walls. I'm like, I'm out. I'm going to start my own company, and I'm going to, be able to be a resource for everybody. And even then, when you're working for somebody else, or when you're working for another company, you have to go based on their terms, what they
Right.
want, what they're looking for. And I wanted to be able to do my own thing. Like, I want to be able to not just finance multifamily, not just finance industrial, not just finance your owner user. I wanted to finance your investors too. And a lot of banks don't really like investor deals. So I wanted to just have a wide variety
That's huge.
of resources, right?
Yeah, because now you could be of more value to other people, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me ask you this, right? In the corporate world, what are some situations, challenges that made you get out of your comfort zone? Because for you to excel, like you were mentioning about that big company that you were part of, what did you do different that other people weren't doing that led you to that success? Because you're against a lot of males, right? So what were you doing different that they were not doing?
I
What were
mean,
your habits? How would that day look like, man?
listen, I'm
How were you kicking
Hispanic.
ass? Come on.
Listen, I'm Hispanic. It's in
Yeah.
my blood.
Yeah.
It's in my blood. I mean, I was just out there. I was out there networking, building relationships. And I'm not about just being at every event. And I think I've said this before. I don't like to be everywhere.
Right.
I like to meet with quality people. I don't like quantity, because to me what's important is having good relationships,
Right.
deep relationships. And that's what I do, especially with my clients. I have so many clients that are repeated clients that continue to, bring business and continue, or they refer business, so on and so forth. But to me, it's all about relationships, and it's all about follow-ups, and it's all about building that connection, really. And just knowing, I mean, just the fact alone that we have such a wide variety of products and resources, that alone, I mean, it attracts so many people. you know there has been so many investors that have reached out, like, hey, I'm trying to do seller carryback. Is that something that you're able to do? Yes, of course. Hey, I want to do this, but my credit is this. Can you do that? Yes, absolutely. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to finance everybody, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not, I can't work magic either, but I could do what most can't.
Got it. How do you stay on top of everything? Like in your industry, there's constantly all the time things changing. Like, how do you stay on top of it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you that's part of the business, right? Just like yourself and any other business owner, how do you stay on top of things? You got to stay on top of the competition. You got to stay on top of the market. You got to shift with the market, right? You got to see where the market is headed and where it's going. So it's all about doing the research and just staying on top of everything.
What are some difficult situations that you've have experienced in your business?
Uh, I would say this, to be quite honest with you. I'm an introvert, believe it or not.
What? You're lying.
I'm an introvert, so it's really hard for me to do a lot of the marketing and put myself out there. To me, it's like, I'm closing, I'm making money. Like, nobody has to, like, why do I have to broadcast it?
Right.
But then at the same time, a lot of people have been telling me, well, you're being very selfish, because people need to know that, right? How are people going to know who you are and what you're capable of if you're not showing it, if you're not marketing it, if you're not showcasing it? So that's my biggest challenge, is getting on camera and doing videos and educational videos, right? Doing podcasts, like having people know about me, about my story, where I came from, what I do, what I specialize in. It's been really hard to get it out there and to really market myself, really.
Yeah.
Because as an introvert, I'm just like, I just want to be behind the closed doors and just, help everybody, as many people as I can. The people that know me, great. The people that don't know me, I mean. But no, I can't be selfish either.
Right.
I have to share it with everybody, and let everybody know what I'm capable of, what I've done, what I've accomplished, and the resource that I can be for them.
Absolutely, because and that's great that you're noticing that because you could add so much value to people, especially with social media now. Your story,
Yes.
you being an example. There's a lot of women that are gonna be watching this episode that they're gonna be like, man, like, if she could do it, I could do it.
Absolutely. And anybody can do it. Absolutely. Anybody can do it. It's a matter of not giving up, because there were so many times where I just wanted to give up when I first started my company. When I first started it,
Like, give us some examples. What were some stuff that made you like, man, I want to throw in the towel right now?
yeah, when I first started CRE, I had to start from scratch, right? Everything that I had built with those banks, and the company that I was with, that was for them. I couldn't take that with me. That was, they paid me to do that. So I had to leave everything that I had built and start from scratch. And that was my biggest thing. And commercial, to build your pipeline in the commercial space, it takes a while. So, and then of course the deals are not going to be smooth all the time, right? You're not going to get your perfect transaction. So there's a lot of bumps on the road. So there was a lot of times where I was just ready to pull my hair out, but it's like, nope, I'm not giving up. This is my passion. This is what I'm good at. And let me not be selfish and just think of myself. Let me think about the client. Like, once we're done with this, once we're done with this transaction, like, I'm saving them a lot of money.
Right.
And I'm able to help them. So yeah, so there was a lot of times for sure. And then building that pipeline, building my network all over, like, it was just, there was a lot of hiccups, but I'm honestly really, really happy that I did. And it was the best decision I could have ever made. Like, I'm happier than ever. And sometimes I even pinch myself, like, oh my gosh, like, I go out and I speak at events and I'm like speaking to 100+ people. And I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm here for me, like, through my company. Like, I'm not with, Bank of America, or I'm not speaking on behalf of,
Awesome.
Wells Fargo. Like, I'm speaking in behalf of CRE Capital. Like, wow, like, it's amazing, right?
That's huge.
But at the same time, you got to remain humble and just continue to just kill it, and people will eventually start to come to you.
Yeah. Who are some people in the beginning that you learned from in your industry?
I mean, you learn as you go, right? There have been, I've had a few mentors, along the way, but you learn as you go, and you kind of start to pivot. Like, okay, what do I like from that? What do I not like from that? Like, what do I want to take in? There's a lot.
What are some of the most common mistakes that you did in the beginning?
Gosh. Within the company?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like building it, yeah.
I would say follow-ups. I wouldn't follow up. It's like, in my head, I'm like, well, if they want it, they can reach out. They already know,
What I do.
It's kind of like putting my ego down a little bit. Like, like, listen, at the end of the day, like, you need to kind of,
we need each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just following up and building, really, and getting all the stuff out of the way from the beginning, like, getting an assistant, getting your sales force intact, getting all of your marketing intact, getting everything, all of your systems intact, to make sure that your business is running smoothly. Because in the beginning, you're not, like they say, in the beginning, you're not the CEO, you're just the employee until you start hiring, and until you start building your team and doing all that, then you start to be the owner. So, it's a little bit of that, but like I mentioned, overall, it's been amazing, and it's the best decision I ever made. I couldn't be happier.
Where do you think that you excel the most? In the building relationships, getting creative with the deals? Where do you feel that it's like, man, this is what I love, this part of the business is what I truly love, and I'm in my power?
I think it's a little bit of everything, to be quite honest with you. I'm pretty good at getting creative, right? And then I'm also good at building that relationship. I'm also good at like I said, I'm an introvert, so I don't do that great at networking events, but I do well. I do well with, like, one-on-ones, right? And building that connection. So I'll give you an example. So I love to travel, right? I love to travel. And so I actually travel alone. And the reason why I do that is because, well, one of the reasons why I do that is because when you travel alone, you have no choice but to socialize and talk to people. And that takes me out of my comfort zone.
I love that.
So
And you're in a complete different place.
Completely different place. Completely different place. And I travel, I mean, everywhere, everywhere. And everywhere I go, I end up meeting the most incredible people.
Wow.
Incredible people. Had I been with friends, I would have just been with them and just been in my shell, and that's just that. But when I travel, it's just a whole different ballgame. I mean, I've made friends in Paris, in Dubai, Croatia, I mean, Fiji. I've gone everywhere and built relationships everywhere I've gone. And till this day, we still connect. We still talk.
I love that. That's actually really good because it forces you. It
It
forces you. Hey, I gotta
does.
talk to you now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it does. It does.
What has stood out the most of you traveling? Like what country has been the one that's like wow, like I want to continue going back to it.
Gosh, I don't know. There's been some for sure that have been on my list, but I don't know. I would say Dubai. I really enjoyed Dubai. That was beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Miami a little bit.
Okay.
So
The lifestyle or
yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah. I'm actually expanding to Miami, by the way.
Oh, let's go. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
When
so
are you doing that?
hopefully the ending of what are we in April? Hopefully the ending of this month, beginning of May. Yeah,
got
so I'm
you.
excited
That's
about
what's
that.
up.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
motivated you to do that? Why Miami?
I was there in February,
Okay.
and I went to a woman in real estate cruise, and the cruise ship was out of Miami, and I was there, and I just fell in love. I fell in love with Miami, and I've been there before. I usually go every year, but this time around it was different. I don't know. It was just something different that I'm like,
Did you go to a different area? What?
And no, I mean, usually I stay around the same areas. And I don't know, it just, something about it just, I was like, you know what, I need to build a footprint out here. And it, ironically, which is crazy, I've been getting deals from Miami, either whether it's a construction deal or, you know, they want to buy a business but I've literally been getting deals. So I'm like, this is a sign. So I'm making it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
Nice,
you.
Nice. So now you're gonna be having a team out there and everything.
Yes, that's the plan,
that's the
to build out there. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you're hiring, what do you look for your company, Rachel?
I mean, I want them to have great qualities, right? Commercial is not easy, and it's not for everybody. And this is what I tell everybody, especially through the interview process, right? I make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into, right? Because there's a lot of people that are like, I want to do commercial. Once they kind of test the waters and realize what it's really all about, they're like, oh yeah, this is not for me. So, you know, I make sure that they really have a passion for it, like I do, right? So I want to make sure that we're sharing that passion, and that we're also sharing, you know, I mean, everything about it, right? Are you good with numbers? Are you good with people? You know, you got to think outside the box. So I would say those type of qualities, and making sure that they're driven. But most importantly, I want to make sure that they're good people, that they're, you know, that they're good humans, right? The other day I heard somebody say a speech about in partnerships or in any type of work environment, you want to make sure that you know who you're working with, right? For example, if this guy's out there cheating on his wife, how do I know he's not going to cheat on me in business, right? How do I know he's not going to do me wrong in business if he's, you know, out there cheating on his wife? So I want to make sure that that they're good people, that at the end of the day, that they have values, and that they value their family, that they value their friends, their relationships that they build, their business partners, whoever it is. But I think that's really, really important.
That's huge.
It is. It really is.
Love that. So let's just say that I'm in a 9-to-5 right now, right? Same scenario that you were at. What would you do different, and what would you share with other people that want to take that jump into our entrepreneurship?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. I contemplated for so long, and that's what honestly like kept me. Like that's really what kept me. I had, the VP title. I had everything. I was already up the ladder. I was starting to see a ceiling. I'm like, I'm going to go from this to what? Like I'm already all the way up the corporate ladder. Like where am I going to go? And so I already knew what I wanted to do. I already knew that I wanted to build this company, that I wanted to, build CRE Capital, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to take that jump because I'm like, I have, you have a high salary, you have that comfort, you have that security
You already have
blanket.
that lifestyle too, right?
And I already have that lifestyle, so it was so hard. And then I'm like, how do I rip the Band-Aid? Like, how do you just take, leave that security blanket and take the jump? But honestly, just take it and you'll figure it out as you go.
They say the entrepreneurs built the plane as they're jumping.
Exactly.
They'll build it in the process.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's the best way to put it. Yeah. You just got to take it and just go with it and don't give up. Even if times get tough, do not give up. Like, that's just the bottom line.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah. Exactly.
That's awesome. Good. Great advice. Any last words that you want to leave for our audience, Rachel? It's been you gave us a lot of good. This is some good stuff right now.
I mean,
how can they find you? And when are you gonna be doing more content? Because now we're gonna put you out there. You're gonna about to declare how much content you're gonna be putting out there.
Oh my goodness! Oh gosh.
We're gonna help you out with that. We got
you. So. That's very. Ooh, I'm already getting sweaty. My hands are starting to get sweaty.
We're shooting videos after this.
So definitely, I'll be creating more content. I'll try to create more educational videos and motivational videos as well. And honestly, all I can say is if you're thinking of purchasing the commercial property, do it. If you're a business owner and if you've been, leasing for years, it's time to take that jump and do it. A lot of business owners, they come to me and they're like, yes, no, what should I do? Just do it. If you're in a 9-to-5 and if you're thinking of starting your own company, just do it. If you don't have the resources, you'll figure it out. Like that's just it.
That's it.
And keep going. Keep going.
Do it and do it and do it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you, Rachel, for being on our podcast today. A lot of takeaways today. Some of my main takeaways is that you gotta bet on yourself, right? You gotta bet on yourself and go all in. And things are always going to work out for you. You could have the lifestyle that you want. You could build. You could travel. You could see different places and get yourself in uncomfortable situations so you could grow and you can see what you're made out of. So for more, make sure that you guys subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification button. Share this podcast with someone because I know that it had a lot of insightful information. So make sure that you guys tune in. See you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.